happening, former Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs has seen multiple preliminary hearing delays in addition to moving to now a third judge for the second time. He plans to plead guilty to 1 count of DUI resulting in death and 1 count, which is a misdemeanor, vehicular manslaughter. Charges that could lead to a heavy prison time.
Thanks to you guys and your incredible support, I have had the privilege of covering a lot of stories on this channel, and this by far is one of the most painful sagas that I've continued to cover on this channel. And it looks like we have an update, and I guess we all kind of saw this coming, but it's official today. So before we get to the content, it's been a minute since I've seen one of those bots on my YouTube channel, so I'm gonna try to relaunch this giveaway. We're gonna be giving away $500 in total to 5 of my subscribers that have my notifications on this channel. All you have to do is subscribe and hit that little bell button to enter, and I'm going to announce a giveaway winner this Friday. Beware that it will be my username, the microphone with the verified check mark next to it, that will tell you that you won, not some random number telling you to hit him up on Telegram. And I'll also announce the winners on my community tab. Now that we get all that out of the way, break! Some of the green slips you guys have been sending me is crazy. Like $1,250 off of a $250 slip, or $1,500 off of a $150 power play. We've been making bank off of our basketball picks, bro. March Madness was a huge success, and believe me, we're about to ramp it up for the NBA playoffs. All you have to do is download Prize Picks, use my promo code Mikerophone, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100 instantly. After that, just follow me on Instagram. I post all of my picks onto my Instagram story for free, and we can start making money off of these picks together. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The story of Henry Ruggs III is a very tragic one that really hurts me to my soul. Each and every NFL draft has some sort of generalization about the draft class. For example, the 2021 NFL draft was known for its impeccable quarterback depth. The 2022 NFL draft was known for having a ton of depth at the edge rusher position and at the wide receiver position. Well, in the 2020 NFL draft, leading up to this draft, we were getting a lot of reports suggesting that this was going to be one of the deepest wide receiver classes that we've seen in recent memory. In this wide receiver draft class, we had players like Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., and of course, Jalen Reagor. I'm kidding. Of course, Justin Jefferson, who was selected 1 pick after Jalen Reagor. This draft was supposed to be a very significant one for the Las Vegas Raiders. After bringing in John Gruden, who would bring in Mike Mayock as his general manager, the Las Vegas Raiders were in the midst of a rebuild. In the year before, they had a draft that definitely raised some eyebrows, selecting Clelin Ferrell with the 4th overall pick over players like Josh Allen, no, not that Josh Allen, or Ed Oliver, for instance. So they really needed a big 2020 NFL draft, especially considering the fact that this was going to be the year that they were going to get their pick from trading Khalil Mack, which was already a very heavily scrutinized trade at the time. Luckily for the Raiders, they had 2 picks in phenomenal position. The first one was the number 12 overall pick, and the second one was the 19th overall pick. And with the 12th overall pick, they took a player that wasn't expected to be the first wide receiver off of the board, but had a tremendous amount of talent nonetheless, and was a prototypical Al Davis or Mark Davis type of pick, a player that had tremendous speed that could open up the offense if this pick panned out correctly for them. That was Henry Ruggs. And 7 picks later, they would take a project cornerback that was considered to be a bit of a reach, and that's Damon Arnette from Ohio State. Unlike Damon Arnette, Henry Ruggs actually had a fairly promising start to his career. In the 2020 season, his rookie year, he started in 12 games. In those 12 games, he had 26 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and 452 passing yards. So clearly not necessarily showing that he was worth being that top pick, but there were definitely some potential, and he also returned kicks as well. While in 2021, 2021, the Raiders decided that if we're going to select someone with the 12th overall pick, clearly he's going to be somewhat of a franchise cornerstone. And in 2021, Henry Ruggs started out the season remarkably. During the first 7 games of that season, he was already able to match his totals from the year prior, with 469 receiving yards, 24 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. He was on pace for a 1,000-yard receiving season in year 2, until tragedy struck. What could have been a breakout season for Henry Ruggs that would result in a contract extension that would have guaranteed him anywhere from the number of $60 million to $100 million over a span of 4 to 5 years ended in tragedy. And the tragedy is baffling considering Henry Ruggs' history. For those of you that don't know, Henry Ruggs' best friend from childhood, a man by the name of Roderick Scott, had perished in a car accident on the way to a basketball game in Birmingham during Ruggs' junior year of high school. Henry Ruggs was supposed to be in that car, and he was shaken when he found out that his life was spared. In response, Henry Ruggs dedicated his whole career to Roderick Scott. He even announced his commitment to the Alabama Crimson Tide in an emotional video filmed near his late friend's grave. So you can imagine how insane it was to hear that Henry Ruggs made a decision that is very relevant to the way his friend lost his life, and also aided in the loss of another life, of another young woman who went way too soon. On November 2nd, 2021, Henry Ruggs decided to visit Topgolf in Las Vegas, a place where you just drink with some buddies and hit golf balls as hard as you can. Sounds like a good time, having a couple brews with some friends, blowing off some steam, and hopefully getting an Uber home. But that's not what Henry Ruggs did. After drinking to the point where he was more than twice the legal limit of blood alcohol concentration, Henry Ruggs decided to get into a vehicle notorious for its speed and its lack of handling. Got into his Corvette, and at a particular point was driving 156 miles per hour. If you want to understand how fast 156 miles per hour is, well, check out this video.
Video 8 News now obtained from the Vizcaya apartments near the scene of the crash. This is what driving at 156 miles per hour looks like. You can see just how fast Henry Ruggs was going based on the speed of the other cars around him.
That's how fast Henry Ruggs was going. And the ending of this whole situation was horrible. I mean, let's put aside the fact that Henry Ruggs screwed himself out of generational wealth by this one horrible, avoidable decision. Let's put that aside because that doesn't matter. A young woman by the name of Tina Tinter, 23 years old, and her dog got rear-ended by Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs drove 156 miles per hour into this woman's car, and the collision was so impactful that not only did the car catch on fire immediately, but Tina Tinter couldn't get out. The way she went is one of the most gruesome ways anyone can go. The coroner's office determined that Tina Tinter died of thermal injuries after she was trapped inside her car that caught fire immediately on impact. The woman lost her life because she burned alive with her dog. And it wasn't an instant passing, by the way. It took some time before her body finally said enough is enough and her life was officially lost. But that wasn't it. The coroner's office also determined that other significant conditions contributing to her death were inhalation of products of combustion, fractures of the nasal bones, right-sided ribs, left forearm, and chest. I've said this many times, man. There are times in life where you have the privilege and the opportunity to learn from your mistakes. And then there are times in life where your mistake is so grave, so horrible, so terrible that you significantly damage your life, other people's lives, and you might not even have the opportunity to learn from your mistake. A common example I like giving is the woman that was drinking and driving in the Jalen Carter incident. She lost her life completely. She never got the opportunity to learn from her mistake. And in the case of Henry Ruggs, it seems like he might have the opportunity, but it's gonna cost him significantly, and it should cost him a little bit more than this. Henry Ruggs would get charged with 4 felonies, including DUI resulting in death, reckless driving resulting in loss of life, DUI resulting in substantial bodily harm, and reckless driving resulting in substantial bodily harm. He was also charged with misdemeanor possession of a weapon under the influence of alcohol. What blows my mind in this situation is Henry Ruggs' girlfriend, Kiara Janae Kilgo Washington, a 22-year-old woman, was with him in the car and was also injured in the crash, and Henry Ruggs would post a $150,000 bail. One of the most avoidable tragedies in recent NFL history could have been avoided completely with either an Uber or look at what Derek Carr said. You could have just called Derek Carr. Look.
Did I not let him know that he really could? I'd be there for him at 3 a.m. I want to be better. He needs people to love him right now. He's probably feeling a certain type of way about himself right now, and he needs to be loved. And if no one else will do it, I'll do it.
Following this, the story would take some twists and turns, and we would bring you updates here and there. As of last year, Henry Ruggs was holding out hope of an eventual return to football. As of March 16, 2022, Ruggs secured permission to leave home confinement twice per week for 3 hours at a time to work out at a training center that caters to pro athletes. Item notes that it's unclear whether Ruggs hopes to play football again. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just needs to have something to do, something to break the monotony, something to give him hope, an outlet for the feeling that he's trapped at home, a way to use his God-given skills that will begin to erode in time. Maybe he thinks he has a chance to put this behind him. As the article explains, a hearing will happen today regarding the argument that the police lacked probable cause to request a warrant for blood to be drawn from Ruggs for alcohol testing. Without that proof, the DUI case goes away. We've had several updates since then. That attempt did not pass. There was no way that you would be able to get this to be done. Blood alcohol concentration was brought in for this incident and was a significant part of the case after they tried to make it not a part of the case. Following this, there was some politics surrounding what judge was going to rule the Henry Ruggs case, and this is the most recent update we brought for you guys. Henry Ruggs' legal counsel tried to block Las Vegas Justice of Peace Ann Zimmerman from presiding over the case. Until recently, Zimmerman had been overseeing all DUI cases in Vegas, including the case against Ruggs, as part of a specialty court program, but those cases were transferred earlier to a different judge appointed to take over the specialty court. His lawyers would argue in their filing that Zimmerman singled out Henry Ruggs and violated his right to equal protection when, without notifying the attorney, she decided to keep the former wide receiver's case on her calendar while the rest of the thousands of DUI cases were transferred to a new judge. And then it would say in this article that Ruggs won't stand trial until late March. Well, there's a reason we're making this video, because Henry Ruggs did stand trial, and we have an update about his situation. It looks like he's going to jail. So, according to David Chesnov and Richard Schoenfeld, the attorneys representing Henry Ruggs, via Fox 5 in Las Vegas, their client is going to issue a guilty plea. This is the first step towards a fair resolution to this matter, and we look forward to closure for all the parties involved. For Caitlin Newberg of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Henry Ruggs intends to plead guilty to DUI resulting in loss of life and misdemeanor charge of vehicular manslaughter. According to Newberg, Chesnov said that the guilty plea is conditioned upon the court accepting the stipulations of the parties, and if the court does not agree to the stipulations, Ruggs will be permitted to withdraw his guilty plea, proceed to trial, and litigate all issues. So Ruggs is due in court on May 10th to formally enter his plea, and the plea agreement carries a prison sentence of 3 to 10 years. So this is significant. It looks like the Henry Ruggs case is about to come to a conclusion, and the conclusion looks like Henry Ruggs is going to go to jail for a bare minimum of 3 years, which I know I'm going to get some comments saying that's way too little, to up to 10 years, which I'm sure I'm still going to get a lot of comments saying that that's way too little. Look, personally, I am not big on trying to say, hey, this man isn't being punished enough, because at the end of the day, that's not my job. Punishment is punishment in my book, and giving up any amount of your life, losing time off of your life, is very significant. I feel like no matter what amount Henry Ruggs gets in this position, people are going to say it's not enough, but I'm here to just give you the facts here. I'm not here to say I'm happy with the amount of time he's getting, because at the end of the day, I hate this entire situation. I hate what happened to Tina Tintor. I hate what happened to Tina Tintor's family. One of the worst pains in life that you could have is loss, and there's a lot of it in this video. The loss of one's daughter, who was still relatively young, who still had her best years ahead of her, the loss of a dog, and the loss of a very promising career, which I know is at the very bottom of the totem pole. And probably more significantly for Henry Ruggs, the loss of a lot of time, 3 to 10 years from what was supposed to be the prime of his life. By the time Henry Ruggs gets out of prison, he's going to be either 27 years old or he's going to be 34 years old. Instead of playing in the NFL during this time, Henry Ruggs is going to be spending time in prison. Now, I am seeing a lot of memes like this where this white human to the left gets a 24-year sentence for killing a woman while street racing, whereas Henry Ruggs is getting a 3 to 10-year sentence from being in a drunk driving accident that killed a woman. I don't know enough about this to really comment on it. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just some guy that brings you news. I'm just some guy that that covers football stuff. So in terms of whether or not this is fair, I really can't comment on that. All I could say is this entire situation sucks, and I'm just gonna pray for everyone that's involved, because there's no happy ending to this at all. A woman died, a promising young man lost his career, and he made a mistake that clearly was very near and dear to him because he lost his best friend due to a car accident. All I could hope is everyone could take a lesson from this and just don't drink and drive. It's never worth it. It doesn't matter if it's $20, $50, or $100 to get an Uber home. That $100 would have saved Henry Ruggs millions and would have saved another woman's life and would have saved him a lot of injuries as well. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.